and Jalen Hurts will be on the same field today for the first time since A.J. Brown was traded, as the Pats and Eagles hold a joint practice in Foxborough. Brown joins the Patriots following a 4-year stint that included 3 second-team All-Pros for the whiteout. Now, before being traded to the Patriots in June, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown were a force to be reckoned with in Philly. But in 4 years as teammates, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown connected for 318 times for 4,700 yards and 29 touchdowns, leading the Eagles to a Super Bowl 59 win over the Chiefs. They did a lot of things together, guys. That's the point of that intro. But now they are not together. I'm curious for you, Kevin.
Yes.
How good does Jalen Hurts have to be to get the Birds back to the Super Bowl?
Better than he was last year, and he has the capability. He needs to play great. That's any Super Bowl quarterback, whether it's Sam Darnold or Patrick Mahomes, needs to play great. I think he can. This new offense, I was there in practice 2 weeks ago. It is what a quarterback should want. Middle of the field type of stuff, playing tricks with the linebacker's eyes. It's going to be easy answers. Mekhi Lemon in motion. You're going to have layups in this offense. I think that's what's really cool, and Jalen Hurts has got that capability. I think that he's become criminally underrated because we over-discuss him every single day on every single show. And I just feel like he's got this capability with the downfield passing, using his legs more. He did not use his legs efficiently last year. Part of that was on the offense. Part of that was also on the offensive line, which had Saquon Barkley getting hit behind the line of scrimmage more than he ever has in Philadelphia. So I think it's going to be a bounce back year. I think they win this division. That's the one thing I've changed my mind on the last couple of weeks. They win this division because I love this new offense in general.
Oh, okay.
Look, I think he needs to be good. He doesn't have to be great, but I think he has to be better than he was, obviously, in 2025, where his QBR dropped to top 20. In 2024, he was top 10. I think that's where he needs to be, right on the fringe of top 10 in meaningful quarterback metrics. Look, obviously, I think in order for them to get to the Super Bowl, a lot of the things have to go right like they did in 2024, namely the health of the offensive line, has to first and foremost be what it was then. You can't have Cam Jurgens playing at maybe 50%. You cannot have Lane Johnson missing more than 3/4 of the season. You just can't have that. You have to have your offensive line. It has to be healthy. The running game has to be a big part of this. And quite honestly, the health of the wide receiver group has to be a big part of this too. Devontae Smith has to be big for them this year. Everyone in Philadelphia believes he can be wide receiver 1. Everyone has had tremendous respect for him since he came into that building. He proved it when he was at Bama. He's proved it when they've asked him to do it when he's been in Philadelphia. He just needs to stay on the football field, stay healthy. Mekhi Lemon has to get healthy. He has to get time on task with Jalen Hurts so he can develop that trust. Octavian Wicks seems like he's already showing what he can do when he has ample opportunity. Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt has to show what he can do. The defense, Vic's going to take care of the defense. I'll tell you this: if Hurts can be top 10 in QBR, they'll be in the NFC title game. If he's not, look, I believe Dallas is going to be right there, and I think the Rams are going to be there, as the other team, as the other opponent in the NFC title game.
He has to be top 10 in QBR, you said?
Yes. Okay. I think he needs to be there.
He's a very hard guy to evaluate because, let's face it, in the 2 Super Bowls, he won the MVP in one, and he could have won the MVP in the other. He had the fumble, and then they gave him the free field goal on the hold, which drove me crazy, which Kansas City won the game. So and then the other thing is, he orchestrated when they were 10-1. They collapsed. They lost their last 11-1, whatever it was. They lost their last 5 or 6 games, and they got mauled in Philadelphia, and he was in Tampa, and he was the quarterback there.
Right.
And last year he was terrible. Now A.J. Brown helped because he dropped passes, but he was awful. He wasn't good against San Francisco. He got beat at home against the Niners, and he was not good. He was bad at the end on the 4th down sequence where he forced the ball in the middle of the field. He didn't play great there. So he's a hard game to evaluate. He's tricky. He's got a lot of great things, and he's done great things. But no A.J. Brown, maybe that's a positive because, he doesn't have to listen to that. He's got the 2 other receivers. I think Philadelphia, now you seem to know him better. I know Kevin now I got to be sharp with him because he.
Kevin's on it, man. He does his work.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be, but you're here. He's really got to.
I'm not sure about Sinner and Alcaraz at the U.S. Open, but he knows the football. So I have to be careful there. I think the Eagles could go either. They could go one way or the other. They could be really good, a la what you say, or they could, stumble a little bit, a little trouble finding their identity. Barkley, 2 years older.
Yeah.
They could go there, too. I'm not exactly sure where to go with the Eagles.
So, Kevin, I want to ask you, because we've talked ad nauseum about Jalen Hurts and the criticisms of him. He's on his 5th different offensive coordinator in 6 seasons under Sirianni. since he became the starting quarterback. How much control over his success level does Jalen Hurts have? Because important pieces have changed around him consistently.
Yeah, he has a lot. I mean, I think that he is the driver. He's the engine of the offense, and he gets disrespected enough to people think that it's everybody else but him. He's the 11th most important person on that offense. He's the only guy that gets blamed for having help. And we say, oh, well, Josh Allen needs a DJ Moore. Okay, we went out and got that. Okay, we talked about the deep ball with Patrick Mahomes. Okay, he's got to have Xavier Worthy take a step forward. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. He has help. They have help. When Jalen Hurts gets help, we go, oh, whoa, no, that's too much help. We blame him for having help in a way I find disrespectful. So the answer is yes, he will have a lot of impact on himself and that offense.
And we credit Howie Roseman for being a great GM.
Exactly right. It's always somebody else doing the work.
Quick final word, Lewis, go.
No, look, I think betting against Jalen Hurts throughout his career will have cost you a lot of money if you decided to do that.
Bingo.
I think last year, look, when you look at his efficiency when he was under center, I think he had 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He didn't have a lot of attempts under center. That's not his fault. He may not have liked it, but it was effective when he did it. I watched all of his snaps from under center just last night in my hotel room. He can play in this type of offense. He looks very good doing it. This is an offense, the way in which they want it to evolve, that should do nothing but benefit him. He should have a top 10 quarterback type of season. I would not bet against him. No question about that.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Up next, Jordan Love has received a lot of praise for his skill set, but is he a really great quarterback? Don't miss this one.
Is over these questions. All right, so we're going back to 94. That was the year Bob Kraft bought the Patriots and Jeff Lurie bought the Eagles. In that time, there are 2 coaches who've beaten both of those teams in the playoffs. John Fox did it, coaching the Panthers and Broncos, respectively. Who's the only other coach to do it?
God, there's so many names. I mean, we're sitting there like, did Jimmy Johnson do it? Did Mike Shanahan? He's coached in both conferences. Tom Coughlin.
I could give you a giveaway hint.
Okay.
Why don't we do, in the interest of moving
why
this along,
don't we do that?
let's give you a giveaway hint.
Yeah. Let's see.
You had an interception and 6 tackles in one of the games, and we have the video to prove it. Cindy, let's show Louis Riddick playing for the Cleveland Browns. Who was your coach in that game?
That was Bill Belichick.
And who did you beat in that game?
Bill Parcells.
And Bill Belichick also beat the Eagles, and thus Bill Belichick is the answer to the question.
Wow.
He beat the Patriots.
Boom! Look at that hit! Look at that hit, Vincent Brisby! Talk to him, too. Oh, my gosh. It was Belichick, huh?
Look at you. So Bill Belichick is the answer to the question.
You know what? I knew I'd get it. Way to go, Greg. You know what? I love that video. You know what? That video brings back such good memories.
Not for him.
No, January 1st, 1995. Cleveland Municipal Stadium, raining, about 40 degrees. Look at Pepper Johnson, Mike Burnett, Eric Turner with the hit. Look at Big Pep. Carl Banks. I mean, there was this. Bledsoe was a rookie. That was such a good. Frank Stamms from Notre Dame, Anthony Pleasant. That was such a good day. Don Griffin, Antonio Langham.
Look at
all
Lewis.
of the names, man. It was so good. Just talking smack. God, it was a good time.
Look how happy.
Goosebumps.
Look at the guy. Look how happy that man is.
That is good stuff.
That is
right
good.
there.
Okay, on we go. Hembo, I had to give him that one because
Thank you, man.
That was just too much
Hembo,
fun.
you're the guy.
Not
You're
to
the
let
guy.
him do it. Okay, I want to play you something Roger Goodell said yesterday. The commissioner of the NFL, he was at the mic yesterday talking about the possibility of creating NFL franchises overseas. And here's what he said. He said, at some point, there will be NFL teams outside the USA. I have no doubt that this will happen one day. Now, he said this in an international interview. It was an interview, I believe, with it was the German media outlet where he gave this interview. But when he speaks, people listen, you know, like the old E.F. Hutton commercial. Mike T, we had a good conversation over breakfast this morning about that because there will be so many perspectives on this. You brought up what you think is immediately maybe the biggest stumbling block.
Yeah, I think it's outcome determinative that it won't happen because players fundamentally may not want to live overseas. So, for example, last couple of years, Cam Ward, Fernando Mendoza, you take a quarterback, you hit on them, the whole system is designed to sign them to an extension. those players may be happy, they may be great owners, they may not want to live in Europe. So it's as fundamental as that. Like, I don't understand how it could be sustainable if you're making players live in a place they may not want to live.
Is that, well, I understand that Europe is not like living in an American city where you don't want to live, but the whole system of football is having players live in places where they are most wanted, where they will get paid the most money, and all the rest of that. Now, I understand that's a fundamental change that is different than moving, let's say, from Kansas City to Seattle, but there are international teams in other sports. There are multiple Canadian teams in the National Hockey League. Obviously, that was the birthplace of the game. There's a Canadian team in Major League Baseball. There's a Canadian team in the NBA. That's a different currency. It's a different tax structure. It's all of those things. Is this markedly different from that?
Yes, because the direct flights, let's say Toronto, the difference between Toronto, Detroit, and Buffalo isn't that much in terms of going to see your family, getting home on a, when you have an off day, let's say.
Yeah.
I think moving your family over to England or to Germany is much different, and I think that would be a barrier that would be very high to get over.
What do you think, Lewis? He's talking about it with a degree of certainty. The league is playing, I believe it's 9 international games this year, and I believe that they're looking at 10 next year. So there's no question. Look, the next frontier for the National Football League, whether fans in this country want to hear this or not, the National Football League is a financial juggernaut that has become the most powerful industry, certainly from a media perspective and maybe beyond that in this country. And the area of expansion for them is international. There are untold billions of dollars out there for them if they can expand this thing globally. I think it is a foregone conclusion that it will happen. It's just a matter of figuring out how.
Yeah, I think the league is looking for new revenue streams, and you're right. There's an untapped revenue stream globally that I'm sure has their eyeballs ringing like cash registers going, just think about this. We have the whole world that is still at our disposal here, and that they want to tap into that. And I understand it from a business perspective totally. I also understand exactly what Mike is saying. From a player retention standpoint, if guys have choices, between playing over in Germany, I'm just picking a country.
Sure.
It's nothing against Germany.
No,
I mean, and playing, overseas,
as far away as
opposed
Germany,
to staying,
Spain, England.
exactly, as opposed to staying in, in Texas or staying in Florida or staying in Pennsylvania or wherever it is. I'm sure guys are going to probably want to default to playing in the United States. But the NFL, very much so, could incentivize players to say, hey, look, the dollars are going to go up dramatically.
Right.
If we can go ahead and tap into this new revenue stream, it would be at it would be in your best interest to go ahead and consider this as a career move.
Who was it that said at breakfast this morning you could put a division there? If you were going to do it, was it you who said that? You had to put multiple teams there, not just put one, but put multiple teams there, which would minimize the amount of travel back and forth and all that. Hawk, you played recently. You're the most recent vintage player we have in this conversation. What is your sense of the possibility of a team being located in London, in Paris, in Munich, in Madrid, someplace like that?
I think it's in all of our best interest for the game to grow beyond our borders. And when he said that in another country, like you said, Mike, he could very well be saying crawl, walk, run, and we start in Canada. I started my professional career in the CFL. Nobody is super excited at first because it's different. Not anything against any of the destinations, but Montreal is one of my favorite cities of all time. I would live there full time if the weather wasn't what it was. The other point to that players wouldn't want to live abroad, where for the current players who didn't grow up understanding that there was an NFL option somewhere else, it would feel different for us. There are players who grow up in Broward County that might not want to live in Green Bay, but they don't consider it twice. Beyond the fact that it's a different environment, they understand that that's a possibility.